Thanks so much. And I think Senator Duckworth is trying to join us by WebEx. Senator Duckworth, are you out there?
I sure am, Mr. Chairman. I'm
Welcome.
so glad we're having this hearing.
Yeah, me
Thank you.
too. Thank you, ma'am.
I just want to just start off by talking a little bit about oil and the global economy. Uh, the narrative that one individual in one country can control the global oil economy is a false narrative. Additionally, the narrative that more leases would decrease today's gas prices and immediately help secure energy independence from Russia is also a false narrative. There are almost 9,000 leases on federal lands right now that go unused every year. And new leases take 3 to 10 years to get online to start contributing to the global market with little comprehensive effect. And in fact, there are 3,000 leases where the oil companies had started drilling, have all the permits, have all the approvals, and they simply have stopped drilling because that was a business decision they made. For example, if Keystone Pipeline, if operable today, would only impact our global production by less than 1%. The United States is the largest producer of oil and natural gas and will produce more oil than ever before by 2023. So the ability to produce is not our problem. The oil markets works like most markets. It's impacted by supply, demand, and market speculation on futures prices. Recovering from a global pandemic coupled with the Ukraine crisis are naturally going to have an impact on all oil futures. We can't control that. However, one of the major contributors to the oil market that we do control is production or supply. Selling SPR is helpful, but without supply to meet the demand, prices will rise. That's simple economics. Unfortunately, big oil controls production, and these private businesses are choosing to spend their capital elsewhere. This attitude of using their funds to pay high dividends rather than increasing production of oil is incredibly upsetting. They could increase production, start drilling again in those 3,000 leases that they already have permission and have already begun production on, but they choose not to. We had big oil's back when disaster hit, and it's time now for them to repay taxpayers with an increase in supply, which is very much within their control. Taking advantage of a global crisis to the financial benefit of an industry is immoral behavior. It reminds me of some oil companies' actions immediately following Hurricane Katrina, where they hiked up rates while people were drowning. Excessively increasing oil prices and reasonably decreasing or halting supply to increase your profit margins is shameful. And unreasonably decreasing or halting supply to increase your profit margins is shameful. That's why I am introducing the Gas Price Gouging Prevention Act, making it a federal crime during a period of an international crisis affecting the oil markets to sell oil at a price that is unconscionably excessive and indicates the seller is taking unfair advantage of the circumstances related to an international crisis to increase prices unreasonably. Protecting hardworking American families from corporate greed, in my view, should be a bipartisan goal, as I hope this bill will be. Of course, the legislative process can be difficult and lengthy, we all know that, and we must also push the federal government to exhaust all existing authority to crack down on greedy price gouging practices. That's why I called on President Biden to direct Attorney General Merrick Garland to establish a gasoline price gouging enforcement task force to carefully monitor and investigate oil and gas markets potential violations of criminal or civil laws, including gasoline price gouging. These actions will signify that Congress will not sit idly by and allow any corporation to abuse their power by unfairly taking money from hardworking Americans' families. Saving families money at the pump is also why I joined forces with my Republican colleague, Senator Ernst, to introduce the Homefront Energy Independence Act that will incentivize biofuel production and allow for the year-round sale of E15 fuel. This will give families a significantly cheaper fuel option at the pump, saving more than 50 cents per gallon. Which leads finally to my first question. Secretary Mabus, I have been a huge fan of yours over the years. And I think that if we've learned anything from the market these last few years, it is that we must lower our dependence on fossil fuels and shift to renewable energy. Because if we remain fully and solely dependent on the oil market, we will continue to have an erratic future. While you were Secretary of the Navy, part of your admirable goal to decrease the Navy's petroleum consumption was the use of ethanol blends and E15. As gas prices continue to increase and American families are left paying unbelievable prices at the pump, do you think, Secretary Mabus, that having E15 fuel as a choice during the coming summer months will be a helpful alternative to combat high gas prices and reduce petroleum production?
Senator, I think in the near future, that is one way we can reduce what people are paying at the pump. And in the, you're right, we went to flex fuel vehicles, we went to agricultural biomass, which is what these things come out of. And as you look to the future, when you get to second generation biofuels, you're going to be able to use the corn stalks, the stover, the wheat stalks, to do fuel, so that you can sell the corn or the wheat for one thing. You can sell the stover for energy, and it will not only lower the price at the pump, but it will give American farmers a whole new energy stream, which a lot of them desperately need.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I'm out of time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.